Welcome back, everybody, to the HVRL podcast. I'm joined this evening by Mr. Bryce Fontaine, Mr. Sean Happy Havoc, and Mr. Matthew Chase. Gentlemen, we've had a week off. How you guys been doing? Missed y'all.
It was much needed.
Yeah,
It was. It kind of sucks going this long without the turning some laps, pun intended. And
see what you did there.
yeah, and but it was nice just to get a little reset every once in a while. But it does also suck in the same.
Yeah. No, we obviously we're off for the Easter break last week, and in the NASCAR fantasy group that I'm in, they were saying, like, it sucks not having racing. My wife's standing next to me. She's like, no, it's good to spend time with family. And as soon as we got to the picnic, I'm sitting there like, wish we were racing. It's like, yeah, it's nice to get away, but you miss what you love, right? But let's recap what happened 2 weeks ago, shall we?
Let's do it.
We shall.
Dude,
Where you want to start first?
I don't even remember what I ate yesterday, let alone where we raced 2 weeks ago.
I had to ask Mike earlier. Watkins Glen in the trucks.
Wow.
Yeah, Glenn in the trucks and Dover for Cup.
All right, what we want to talk about first, so I can pull it up here for everybody.
Let's start with trucks.
Let's do it. It was it was fun. I felt that the race went a lot better than I actually expected it to go. I expected a lot of guys to, be sailing it off into the sunset. And after doing the race review, I noticed that there was like 3 guys that just really had a rough day. Other than that, I felt like most guys kept it on the track, felt it was clean. I mean, personally, it was probably the best race I've ever ran at Watkins Glen. I felt a lot more comfortable at the track, so it was great. Bryce actually helped me out a lot and gave me some pointers and, kind of schooled me on what I was doing wrong and what to get better. I wouldn't say I aced it by any means, but for me, I took it as a victory because I stayed on the track. I didn't damage anything. I didn't hit anybody. I think I finished with like a 5X, but that's for going off track. Other than that, I thought it was great. What about you guys? What was your experience?
No, you had a really good. I was really surprised by you just because, I don't think you really look forward to the road courses very much. Then we kind of qualified by each other, and I really couldn't pass you on my own until you made a mistake. That was the only thing that let me around you. As far as that, I mean, you had let's see here. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th fastest lap of 27 people, and I had the 8th fastest lap, so we were pretty comparable.
If I had to guess, that was probably about 15th fastest, somewhere in that range.
Let's see. There's Meacham.
We don't have to check. It's okay.
You're down there.
Meacham's had better days.
Yeah. He
22. Looks like the 22nd fastest.
Oh, I'm not surprised. I was taking it real easy. I was just trying to stay out of everybody's way. Meacham, though, he couldn't make it on fuel at the end, and then he made a mistake, and then he got caught up in somebody else's stuff and had to use his fast repair, so he had to pit a second time. Because at one point, I believe he was up in like the top 8, top 7, somewhere in that range. And then at the end there, he got caught right in front of me, actually. I think he was 1 position ahead of me at the end.
So overall, how did you feel about it? Were you getting more comfortable with it there at the end?
No.
No.
I mean, I was comfortable. I was comfortable on my own. I just was not fast. Comfortability and fast is 2 different things. So,
absolutely.
I ran some decent laps in practice leading up to the race last week or 2 weeks ago. But I didn't feel confident I could keep the wheels underneath of it doing that pace the whole time. So it was more just a war of attrition for me and just try to survive to the end, basically.
I want to piggyback off that really quick because I'm glad you said that. Something that I noticed about myself at Sonoma, which I know was the previous week for the Cup guys, but I've always talked about on like the oval tracks, I always seem to get faster at the oval tracks, but I did a league race at Sonoma last week in another league, and it was the exact opposite. Like I was still fast, but I know like an hour session we did at Sonoma, I qualified with a 1:16.2, and the fastest I hit in the race was a 1:16.6. So I'm that same way on the road courses where like I'm still fast, but I don't pick up that extra gear on the road courses like I do at the ovals. If that makes sense.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and I mean, for somebody that's got as much road course success as yourself does, that makes a lot of sense as well. I feel at ovals, I do as well get fast other than tire wear, and I think like you guys were just saying, it comes with comfortability with it. But when it came for me with the road course, it was more honestly what it was. You taught me, Bryce, was how to. I was approaching the corners more like an oval, and that wasn't right. So that made it a lot more comfortable for me. So that I can't thank you enough for that tip, because I've never finished a road course race on the lead lap, let alone even on all. Well, I've always finished on all my tires. It's usually not on the asphalt. Probably
Usually in the gravel
that's
or the
bad.
grass, whatever it may be.
Yep.
I'd be like that.
Be like that sometimes.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like I'm going to help the maintenance crew and trim the grass a little bit, and just kind of noticed one spot was a little lumpy, so I wanted to even that one out. But Tucker, though, man, he was lightning fast from the beginning, and I want to give kudos as well to Wilder for starting in the back and taking not a lot of damage, but a little bit like right off the get go. And yeah, I just knew he was going to be frustrated, and I thought he was going to have a terrible day. But I mean, he came in seventh, and he was hunting my butt down at the like, oh, if we have one more lap, I'm going to give up another spot right here. But I mean, awesome for him from working his way all the way in the back to charging up front, and it felt absolutely terrible for. Was it Andre? No, it was Nava. Nava was awesome fast. I think he won stage 2 as well, and then got a bad net code, and I felt bad for him after going back and looking at it. So I think it was Meacham and him got together, but I mean there was a 1.5 foot gap between the two, so that was unfortunate. But he was quick, man. That sucked to see him get taken out, and what could have been an awesome finish for everybody to see was Tucker and Nava going at it at the end, because they were getting close, and that was some good side. Well, I won't say side by side, but nose to butt, just awesome racing between the two of them that we missed out on.
I
But
feel like Tucker probably
yeah,
would have pulled out anyway, and had the win. But it still would have been, one of Nava's best finishes either way, and he had a shot at winning it. So, yeah, sometimes that
yeah,
happens and it sucks. Bryce, how was it to broadcast for you? Was it pretty good racing that you remember, if you remember?
good talk.
Yeah, it was. That was pretty good. Well,
Right?
as we can go over, I guess you can go ahead and go over
Okay.
the top 3, 5, 10, whatever you want to there, Mike.
I'll at least
I
go
have
over
it
the
pulled
top
up.
6. But
I want to go over the top 5. Let's just do top 5.
oh, okay. Well, Hawk ended up finishing 5th. He gave up that spot right there at the end. Unfortunately, I think he spun in 10. And that caused him to give up a spot to P4, which is Mr. Sean Happy Havoc. And then on the podium was Day Off in 3rd, Travis George in 2nd, and Bryce Tucker took it home. And I think that's the 3rd win for Tucker this season, if I'm
It
not
is.
mistaken.
It is the 3rd win, and shout out to Dayoff having the real. I heard he put in a lot of practice. I think what he was saying in the interview with Bryce, and it definitely shows because
Yeah,
he
he had
he did
a very
good. So.
consistent race. I think he only ended up with 3 incident points for the entire race. So that's him staying on track and staying clean. So yeah, kudos to him. That was a great run for that guy.
Yep, 3. Yep. Nobody had less. I guess I had the least amount. I had 1, and that was I got a little off in turn 1 there, a little bit much. But other than that, yeah, nobody had a 0x. But I think that was just track limits per se, not really a whole lot of
incidents.
contact
Yeah.
with anybody or walls or anything. I mean,
I
some I've seen, but not a whole lot.
The one thing I wish is that iRacing was able to like take away the track limits there, because I mean NASCAR runs that area like down all the time. They are always out that far, and for a stock car race, I wish they could take the track limits away there for that, at least for turn one. I know that there's another spot they have those track limits, and I mean it is what it is, but
Yeah, I
that and one in
mean,
turn one sucks.
we can always. The problem is because we have the IPL. I would like to just turn them off for that. You know what I mean? But
Right.
But we are teaching guys to in this series to control their truck and stay within track limits, and But at least on the upper series, we turn them off. I wanted to say Bryce had like 70 or 80x at Coda.
He had a lot at most. I think he had a lot at Most Sport too. A lot of the guys had him at Most Sport.
Oh,
so.
right. Yeah. So
Let's see, where Mr. Long.
I don't think I had many at Coda. I know, or not at Coda. I had a lot at Coda. I don't think I had many at Most Sport. There wasn't really anywhere to cut at Most Sport.
Wasn't that dirt patch a spot where you could get track limits right as you get ready to go back down the long straight?
You could, but it's not like Coda. Obviously the track limits there, kind of like you were talking about with Watkins Glen. The track limits on iRacing Coda are terrible.
Yeah.
Coda, if you're going into that dirt patch or if you're cutting the track, it's more than likely because you did something wrong.
Well, I know that in the NASCAR races when they were running the big track at Coda, the S's, they were very strict about it, where you could go, where you couldn't, and you would get penalized if you crossed over that boundary. So it makes sense that there would be track limits there. But yeah, there are spots where you really don't need to worry about track limits as much, especially in the stock car.
So what are y'all thinking about Chicagoland?
It's gonna be fast. I did a session, or Meacham and I did a session together the other night, and we think it's gonna be quick.
I think if we can get going, we'll get spread out, and yeah, the race will go quickly. But I think as long as guys kind of take it easy on the first four, yeah, I know, right? Wishful thinking. But if they can take it easy on like just the first 2 laps, just get a little bit of heat in the tires because that's when they're at their most volatile. And I've also we had a really good practice last night, and we actually partnered with some other guys with Seabolt and his crew. Day off was in there as well, but we started to notice we would intentionally group up and like simulate restarts. Once you got rolling in a pack and it got a little congested, I mean, it handled totally different. That was probably the most I've ever felt dirty air on iRacing.
Yep.
Yeah, that was like, I did not expect that.
Yeah, we threw some AI on one of our practice sessions. We've done a couple of them, and you get a truck to the outside, and it is way different than I thought it was going to be. And so that's going to be something to watch out for. You get somebody to your outside, you're going to feel that aero loose condition because it is extreme.
Well, how you feeling about it though? You think you'll have a good finish? You think you'll do well?
I'm hoping. I'm hoping we get more of like a Vegas race and less of a Kansas race for me. Because when we raced at Kansas, I did not do that well. But when we raced at Vegas, I felt fast. I felt competitive. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same. I'm be very happy if we top 10. Top 5 would be great. So, but I think a top 10 is achievable. I was noticing though is after about 9 laps, it is really hard to make a pass. Like really hard. I think it was Patrick and I for a stint, and then Chris and I first. I try hell with all my teammates who went through stints of just probably 5-6 laps side by side, actively trying to get around one another, and it got difficult after about 9 laps to pull away.
Is this
should be
is
interesting.
this a night race, right?
It
is
9 p.m.
How many people we have signed up so far? Because this race should go pretty good. I don't think I haven't even seen what we've had.
We have so far 20 with 3 tentative.
Just 20, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, it should be fine. There shouldn't be a whole lot of incidents going on with 20. I mean, we'll put a reminder out. Probably end up with 25, 26, I'm sure. That's about where we're at now, I think. And yeah, that shouldn't be too bad. Should be all right. I'm sure there'll be a few incidents, but for the most part, we should have some good racing there.
Biggest thing, like we said, is just take it easy for a few laps and let everybody get settled into the groove, and then you can make your moves. But
It is a fun track. I enjoy that track. I've never really done well there. I'm hoping to get top 10. I think I don't think I'll get. I don't think I'm a top 5er here though.
Well, I mean, the thing too about Chicagoland, like, I mean, I don't remember the racecraft 100% because it's been so long since we've raced there, but 1 and 2 are different than 3 and 4 too.
Yep.
And that's another obstacle that, and then 2, we saw it. I mean, of course, this again was last season, but you know, the front stretch is the trial was, there you go. That's the word I'm looking for. The trial has got that Kansas style feel, but it's a little bit sketchier than Kansas too. And we saw a couple issues with it there last season. So, you know, the 3 and 4, it's almost like a Texas on the fact of 3 and 4 is where you can really get a good run on the exit of the corner, but 1 and 2 is a little bit tighter, but if you hit it right, it feels better. So there's also that level of variation to it as well that I think could potentially throw some people off. So
Yeah, the last time I was there, you spotted for me. That's when I was racing against Tommy. I think Tommy ended up beating me in that race. In fact.
oh yeah. I think you got caught up in some.
Oh yeah, yeah, I did, but I still worked my way back. But I still think I got like 7th or something like that. So it's a track I do okay at. It's not one that I think I can probably go out there and win. But heck, I thought the same thing about Dover too.
And Talladega.
Oh, Talladega.
Talladega. Let's be honest, Mike. Talladega was down to you and me if we hadn't had that caution on that last lap.
Yeah, I would love to have a re-go.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
It ended just fine.
Of course you would say that.
The big hitters at the super speedways would be out front again. I can tell you that much.
Amen, brother. Take them back.
Then, as we look here at the rest of the season, anything y'all are looking forward to? And then we can move on to Cubs
Atlanta.
there. Oh yeah,
Atlanta.
Oh yeah, new
Yep.
Atlanta under the lights. It'll be my
Yup.
first time to actually race it under the lights.
It'd be my first time racing it in the new configuration, but I've run some laps on it. I just had never run a race there before.
So, do you like old Atlanta?
I was okay with old Atlanta. I like the abrasive surfaces, so yeah.
Well, new Atlanta is polar
Different.
opposite.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Silky smooth, plenty of grip. I mean, just go. I mean, it 100% does feel like
Super.
Daytona.
It's like a super speedway, yeah.
Old Atlanta's
It really
better.
is. And but what I don't know, and I'm sure we can cover it more when we get closer, is the track limits on the front through the tri-oval.
I know in the Cup car they are not.
You
It
can
was
take
in
it.
Cup. It was in
You can take
Xfinity. In Xfinity, people were cutting it. So
Okay, that's
Bryce, you can kind of cover that a little bit more. There was no like track limits on that, right?
Yeah, we didn't set the track limit. Honestly, we didn't really. Nobody utilized it. I didn't want to, you know. I mean, this may sound a little shady, but you know, I don't know who knew we could take it and who didn't. So I didn't want to use it in stage 1, and then, you know, everybody realizes we can use it. I wanted to save it to the very end if I needed it, but yeah, I mean, the try over there, it is tricky, but at the same time, it's not. I mean, people just kind of have to make their intention clear on what they want to do. The trucks are pretty stable, you know, there at that track, and the biggest thing that I think guys are going to have issues with, honestly, is going to be the entry of the corners when you're directly behind somebody. The trucks, I mean, even at, you know, Daytona and Talladega, the front end gets very floaty when you're really close in tow. And because Atlanta isn't your, you know, 2.5 mile track or whatever the Daytona and Talladega are, but because it's tighter, that nose being as floaty as it is can really catch some people off guard. So I think, honestly, if we're going to have issues, it's going to be from guys just kind of getting caught up and not expecting that from the handling in the car. So
I think
the
everybody will be. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that the quad oval, it's not that bad. Again, the biggest thing, the biggest advice that I would have with the quad oval is just, again, making your intention clear. And if you're gonna use the quad oval, use it consistently, because if you use it one lap and then you don't use it the next lap and then you use it the next lap, the guy following behind you is not going to know where you're going. So you're going to kind of have a hard time as the follow car, committing. Because then if the guy that is pushing thinks you're going to go to the quad oval and you don't, now more than likely you're too wide, and then people start splitting and jockeying and driving for position, and then that's when it gets a little sketchy.
Yeah, this
or
isn't
or
like
you're gonna lose your run and you're gonna fall to the back. Either way, I mean, you're either gonna get railroaded if you're the guy that goes and the car behind you doesn't. You're gonna get railroaded by the line. So
well, yeah, this isn't like a regular mile and a half, like or a mile or whatever, like Phoenix is or Charlotte, where you can just take it and come back on. I mean, this is gonna be a pretty drafty track, and you don't want to just tear ass to the left and go in there when somebody's pushing you. That's gonna get you turned. But everybody forewarned that if you take any of those and go off the track, it's your job to yield coming back on the track. So
Yep.
when you
We'll
leave
see
that
what happens.
surface,
Yeah.
so I wouldn't use it except if it was at the end of a stage or something like that to do something. Other than that, I don't plan on really utilizing it much unless everybody else does. But then you just follow along.
Yeah,
But
no. Usually that one's not my intention, but push comes to shove. It's just good to know if you have that option versus I can't go there and give up an opportunity because you thought you'd be penalized for doing it.
yeah, that extra tenth could be the difference between winning a stage and not. So
100%.
The biggest advice that I would have, and then we can move on because I know we got a little ways away, but the lines that are organized, or the rows that are organized, are naturally going to do better than the quote unquote natural fast line. Even if guys are cutting the apron, if you get 4 or 5 guys lined up deep and you guys are all square and you're making good pushes, you're going to make the time on any line that's out there on track. So I, if anything, would prioritize just getting in line with a group of guys that you can trust and making it work, because you'll have more success doing that than the unpredictability of what line is this guy going to go. So that would be my advice on that.
Yeah, looking forward to it. What I'm not looking forward to, though, is somebody made Richmond a day race.
I can't have 3 nights in a row
I promise you, I seem to have like 7 of them in a row.
because that would have been Chicago night, that would have been Richmond night, Atlanta night, and I don't know what I made Homestead.
I think the majority of truck races are at night, though, have it?
Well,
he's right. He's right.
You
The only
can't
ones
have
that
it. You
aren't
can't
night.
have it easy on every track.
You want to know the ones that aren't night?
The one that don't have
Talladega,
a
because
light.
they don't have lights.
Race car, but I
Yeah.
thought race cars don't need headlights because the track is always lit.
Lit.
Nope, that's just Matt.
What is Homestead? Is it night as well or no?
Don't worry, Squirtle's got my back.
Word.
Does anybody know if Homestead is night? Yeah, okay. you're checking.
Homestead is day.
Okay, day on Homestead. Yeah, you'll be
Yeah,
all right. It's called throttle
yeah, so
control.
they're-
You'll have to learn at some point.
Gonna be slick.
Yeah, I already hate short tracks, and that one.
That's why you need
That
to
one's
run
like
it.
you think about touching the gas, and the truck's like, nope, I'm gonna turn around.
Yeah, we won't talk about fairgrounds.
Yeah, we won't. Good. I'm glad we agreed with that.
Oh well, yeah.
I like to
guess
have that one back too.
Yep. Me too.
well,
Well,
speaking of,
before we move on to Cup,
Yeah.
we'll just see the. So now we had a little bit of a point shuffle around. I mean, not at the top. Sean, you're still leading Meacham by 87 points now. Tucker did jump up a spot in the third. Right behind him, Travis George also jumped a spot into fourth, and that's because Patrick Camburn dropped 2 spots. Patrick and his wife did welcome a baby girl into the world, so he ended up missing that race. So totally understandable. From what I understand from him, mama and baby are doing just fine now, and everything's good. So congrats to them. But it did, in true dad fashion, there, Patrick, you drop. He dropped down to 5th. Wilder's in 6th. I moved up 3 to 7th. Bloodworth is 8th. Let's see, Chris fell a spot. He also had his daughter's birthday, so he had to miss. He dropped down to 9th. Cornwell showing there in 10th, but right behind him, there's Mr. Chase right there. And then Dorr is in 12th. And that's those competing for the end, or I guess we should just say chasing Sean.
You gonna let Chris catch you? Because he said that was his goal now.
Yeah, since I got to jump him from his miss, which I guess that was me taking it back from when I had to miss Michigan. No, Indianapolis was the one I missed. But yeah, no, he can try. He's actually looking pretty good. He was the fastest of the group at Chicagoland, so it's going to be awesome coming down to the end because both of us are going to suck at Richmond. Both of us are really excited about Atlanta. And we haven't turned any laps at Homestead, so I can't speak to that one just yet.
It's a good fun track. You shouldn't have too many problems with Homestead, I wouldn't think.
Well, they did just do the resurface and the reskin of Homestead, and it is Homestead has never been, I don't think, easy, but it's a little bit more difficult than it has been in the past. I mean,
okay.
I've only ran it in the next gen car, so maybe that statement may not hold true in the trucks, but it's a little bit different than it was before. So,
Yeah.
All right.
We shall see.
Let's move on
But,
to Cup.
Yeah, Cup at Dover.
William Kern, that's all you really need to know.
Yeah.
Right? Finally got out of his own way or got his horseshoe back or whatever you want to call it. Kern back to victory lane. So I was real happy to see that for him, man. That was awesome. Led 124 laps out of 200. You guys ended up with 5 cautions in total. 13 lead lap changes or 13 lead changes. That was awesome. That was a fun race to go back and watch the broadcast as well. That was great, man. You know, from that ran, how'd it feel from the cockpit?
I think, was that the race we started out with quite a few cautions, or was that the race before? I want to say it was this one. We had quite a few cautions that
No, I mean Mike said we only had 5, and 2 of those would have been stage breaks.
Right,
So,
but then we have like 3 before the first stage or something. Like they were all right there or something.
I don't.
No, that was Kansas. I think.
Oh,
was
okay.
Kansas.
Okay, that was Kansas.
I think with this one we ran green almost to the end of the first stage, or it was through the first stage.
It was through the first stage because I remember I had a brain fart and thought that I can't remember if the stage was at 40 or 50 or 30, whatever it was, but I thought I had to save 10 less laps of fuel than I did. So I remember like basically limping it to the finish because I messed up qualifying. And then, I mean, honestly, I don't really remember the cautions, honestly.
Me neither.
One of them, I know Grady and somebody else got together. Hunter Young was involved in one, I'm pretty sure as well.
Grady, Hunter,
Wilder
Mike.
had a long night, I think. I don't remember if he was a cause of caution, but I know his car was.
He was wrecked up. Yeah, he was 21 down.
He was borderline DVP at that point. I mean,
yeah, right. And then he only had a 4X. That's what's bad. But we did have 4 disconnect, and that was Grady, Young, Marini, and Martin.
Yeah, Wilder stayed in and was able to pass a bunch of those guys because just by attrition he was able to get those handful of spots back. So
that's what I'm hoping for tonight.
Attrition?
Yes, but I don't think. I think I'm gonna be. Yeah, I'm probably gonna smack a wall and get some wheel damage at some point pretty early on. This track
is tight. God
awful. I hate this. I was thinking about not even showing up tonight, but I'll go ahead and run it.
Honestly, man. Honestly, I didn't even own Darlington until the other league race I had like 2-3 weeks ago at this point. And yeah, on paper, Darlington can suck a fat one. But it was quite fun, honestly. And that other league, it kind of surprised me because, like I said, on paper, it's not a track that I feel like would mesh well. But at the same point, Darlington is a driver's track. It really is, and I think there's a lot of people's weaknesses that will end up coming out tonight. Rather that be tire saving, rather it just be consistency, rather it just be comfortability making passes with other drivers. Whatever said potential weakness is, Darlington is a track that I feel like is going to highlight it pretty good, especially if the conditions are pretty similar to the ones that we did a little bit of practice on. Like I said, it's going to be real tight. When I ran that other league race, it was in the daytime. The sun was out, so you were able to get it on the right rear just a little bit more. But the testing we did, tonight's going to be pretty right front heavy for sure, which is going to make passing even more difficult, especially in 1 and 2, just because the line that you have to run. But if the biggest thing, even when making a pass, is just going to be patience tonight, you got to find that line of throttling up in the corner at the right time to get the advantage. But at the same time, the exit of 2 comes up very quickly, and that wall is not your friend. So
It's a night killer.
Little Darlington stripe. Everybody's gonna have it.
That's in 3 and
Just-
4 though. To be fair, the Darlington stripe. That's where everybody used to get
maybe that's
the
it.
wrecks. Was out of 3 and 4.
Corner
but
entry
now,
is important because if you don't hit that right, you're most likely you're either gonna lose a lot of time or you're gonna hit that wall pretty good, and that car's only gonna take so many hits before you get some wheel damage.
and it's a tight racing surface as well, so it's gonna be a tough race tonight for you guys.
I'll tell you what's harder for
and-
me is just remembering which corner is which. You know what I mean? Because you have to take them way different than each other.
Yeah.
Then last time I raced it, I was in trucks and I qualified like 3rd. I thought I was real good. I made it half the race, got my turns mixed up, killed that wall. Then my race was done.
Yeah, the thing about Darlington too, I think everybody knows that 1 and 2 can be sketchy. So I feel like a lot of people kind of sleep on 3 and 4. But 3 and 4, honestly, when we did the race on the other one, I was able to get 1 and 2 down easier than 3 and 4 at the beginning. I remember, telling Will in the practice session for that race, I was like, dude, I don't know what it is. Like, I would be up 2 to 3 tenths a lap in 1 and 2, and then lose it all on the entry or on exit or whatever in 3 and 4. And I'm like, dude, what in the world? Like, 3 and 4 is supposed to be the easiest corner, but I think that'll be a key point for tonight. But I was able to figure something out, which will hopefully help me tonight. But again, 3 and 4 is like I said, it's that corner that it's the sleeper. It's where if you're gonna get the wall. Honestly, you're probably gonna get it in 3 and 4 harder than you are in 1 and 2. I mean, maybe not the exit of 2, but you're more than likely to hit the corner or hit the wall in 3 and 4. Just based off my experience, that could play different. I mean, we've got a great group of drivers in here that are talented, and we may not have any issues tonight at all. We've had a couple of tracks where we've gone to the supposed hard tracks on the schedule, and they've been some of the cleanest races. And then you go to somewhere like Kansas, where the race did end up cleaning up, but we had those 2, 3, 4 cautions, whatever it was, in the first 2 stages. And Kansas on paper is one of the easiest tracks. So
yeah, I'm kind of the exact same way with you. I'm in the green on 1 and 2. I don't mind 1 and 2. It is really that 3 and 4 that's kind of getting me.
I chuckled when Bryce said, they're all good drivers on the track, because it just so happens that an invite got extended, and I think Chris and I are gonna make this race.
Well, good. I'll have someone to
So-
race with.
So there's going to be all but 3 good drivers on the track tonight.
Okay,
And
there we
two of them are in the call right now. Is that?
Yeah.
No, I gotta say, I don't know how much more racing you've done in the Cup car. I know where you and I met was the Cup car.
I haven't touched it since then, bud.
Oh, okay, well,
I
was
ran,
trying
and I hadn't even touched Darlington since I purchased it, but I've done 20 laps now, so good to go.
alrighty, yeah. Well, famous last words. We'll see.
We'll see Mike in the broadcast booth.
Yeah, I was going to say that exact same thing.
I'll see you soon, Matt.
Hey, don't be afraid. I'll be up there.
Man,
I got you. I know where you'll be, and I got a feeling I'll see you shortly.
all 4 of us
Another-
might be joining you by the time the race is over.
Another thing to talk about, throwback week too. So we're gonna have a couple guys that their cars might look a little bit different on track. I had an idea of what I was gonna run tonight, and then we were racing last night, and William Kern, our previous race winner, kind of had the same idea that I originally had for my scheme tonight, and I think it's something that I'm going to run. I also have control of Mason's trading pains because we all know how fickle trading pains can be. So I've been helping him out with that, and I've picked his scheme for tonight as well. So I know those are going to be two cars that look really good out there on track. I'm excited to see everybody else. I think I know what Mike's running, and we've had a couple other people that have posted theirs, but I'm excited for some good looking cars. Chase, you're probably not going to know who the hell is who out there because you're probably so used to what everybody looks like. And
You will me.
This
I
is-
haven't changed. Mine's old school anyway.
No,
His,
see,
his,
you-
I say his is throwback anyway.
no, you got it. You got to run a different scheme at this point now because you've been running throwback week all damn season. So you got to race a modern
You gotta
scheme.
run a normal scheme for throwback week.
Yeah. All right. Hang on. Trading paints. I'll find one now.
But
now you've done it.
I've got to say, man, like I thought at the beginning of the season of the trucks that there was like no way I was going to memorize everybody's trucks and their names to their numbers and everything like that. And I'm surprised that I've been able to do it with the truck. So I mean, again, we'll have the same number out there, so that'll probably help. It's just everybody's going to look a little bit different. But
Plus, there's this wonderful thing called SDK that's up on my right hand monitor, so I'm able to actually look and read numbers, so I know who's who.
we don't use that, man.
Underrated, right?
Yeah.
Well, who's going to win tonight? Because this is such
Me.
a different track. Yeah, you think so? Will or Ray down here don't
Yeah, it's like where
don't
you
have
ain't
anything
said
to say
anything.
about that?
I ain't doing anything tonight. I'm just driving along.
Riding.
I'll give you this. Any conversation I've ever had with Ray about this track, he's said that this track can royally screw itself.
I'm with you,
Will-
Ray.
The fact
Will-
that my girl is better than me on this track, it's gotta say something. She doesn't even have the setup I have. So
Gotcha. Okay, now
Will-
picking Ray.
Will had a typical Will performance, and I don't even say that in a bad way. He was up front all night. He wasn't the fastest, but he was there. And Mason Tomlinson got second place behind me with a broken freaking hand at Darlington. So, I call it bias, call it what you want, but just based off past experience, these Eternal guys, apart from Ray, who might not be on Eternal after the end of tonight.
Damn.
What? No, we're gonna be looking pretty good tonight, man. I'm excited for it. Just patience and tire saving tonight, honestly, is going to be the name of the game. If the track races like it did in that practice, I don't think it's really about being the fastest. I think it's who can go the slowest, the fastest is going to be the name of the game tonight, and who can keep all four tires pointed in the direction that they started the race with, because there might be some right fronts that have a little bit of camber and toe problems after this race.
Yeah, I'll probably be one of those. So I think I'm gonna try Matt's Chase is approach that you did for the road course.
Stay out of the way.
Stay out of the way. I'll be slow, but I'm just trying to go the right direction.
Just don't do 17x like I did at the road course, and you should be fine.
Okay, so
Well-
that's where we're setting the bar. Okay.
Famous last words. Darlington is a self-cleaning track. If you got 17x on Darlington, especially with no fast repairs, you are having a rough, and I mean rough night.
Well, there's less worry about track limits on this oval too. So
Well,
Challenge accepted.
what you lack in track limits, you gain tenfold in difficulty of pit entrance as well. If that's something that guys have not practiced, I would recommend you do some pit entry practice, because you think Charlotte's pit exit is bumpy, you got another thing coming.
and not only that, pit entry is way down the track.
and it comes a lot faster than you think.
Yeah, like I said, I ran 20 laps and then I was like, all right, let me go in the pit. Why is the wall there? So I hadn't even gone down pit road. So I guess we should wrap this thing up then, huh?
We got 10 minutes. Come on now.
All right, well, I'm gonna fire up the simulation, try to find this pit road.
Good luck.
It's on the
You're going to be
track.
searching. You're going to be searching for a
I
bit.
don't have to look for it, because when I tow, it takes me there.
Touche.
That is, you know what? That's fair. That is fair.
I expect
Yeah.
I will know exactly where pit road is by the end of the race.
Because you're going to
Oh.
find the barrels.
Hey, one time.
That's all it takes.
And Burrows had it coming.
Mike flipped upside down the first race of the truck season last year, and he still hears about it. So it only takes one time. Like
It's
me
never
last
going
night,
away.
I qualified on the pole at Charlotte, and I spun the tires on the first start of the race, and I wrecked in front of the whole field. You know, so
You're going to hear about that for a while.
Yep, and I did that last season as well. So you know, some people learn and some don't. Life's all about choices.
I did the stupid shit too. I took no tire. I didn't go in and pit at Richmond and spun the tires in front of the field and wrecked the fastest guy in the race. So done that before too.
Well, I mean that was on purpose. So I mean,
no. Well, I mean, we won't talk about that. That was in a different league anyway. So
oh, me?
Pretty much.
Brandon Barrier, is that you?
Oh shoot.
Hey Ray, I got your Venmo for $20 for taking out Bryce. Okay, got it.
Not my eternal teammate.
It's okay.
I'll throw in a 5.
I'll blow by him so quick he'll think I lagged with netcode, man. It's all good.
You guys watched Talladega Nights before, right? Yeah, I'm gonna when he comes back to racing, you know, he's slow on the apron and all the cars driving by him. That's gonna
Are those the other cars?
Yeah, that's me tonight.
You know,
we'll see.
I feel like there is a slight possibility, and even though I am his teammate and friend, I have zero insight on this, I promise. But over under on Raymond Hanneman trying to pull off the greatest hustle of all time. I don't know. I mean, you all, Mike and Sean, you might know this. You might be a little bit more familiar with this just based on your age, and this is not even a dig. But for any of you Fresh Prince of Bel-Air watchers, Uncle Phil in the bar playing pool, was a great scene, and I feel like there is a small, slim chance that everybody else, maybe Will and Carlton and Raymond Hanneman, might be Uncle Phil in this situation. We'll see.
I don't think so. I feel like I heard the despair in his voice when we were talking about Darlington.
Despair is crazy.
Were you even old enough to watch that scene?
I mean, I
reruns.
Reruns.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember which streaming platform it's on, but I'm sure you have a subscription to it.
I mean, probably.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So the top 10 for the Dover was Joe Hudson in 10th. CD Mangrum was 9th. Bryce Tucker came home 8th. Sean, you finished 7th. Mercado finished 6th. Tomlinson finished 5th. Ray, Mr. Hanneman over there, finished 4th. Tyler Lemon in 3rd. Bryce finished 2nd. And the King of the Mountain last week, or 2 weeks ago, was Mr. Kern. So let's see what that did for the overall standing, shall we? Damn, Bryce. Already got a 77-point lead over CD?
Well, first things first, it locked William Kern into the playoffs. That's a big deal. He was having a real rough season leading up to that.
Yeah, he was.
Poor guy.
Yeah, poor guy.
But he's good to go now. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. We'll see. I'm curious on how many of these guys are going to finish the race. I just think there's going to be a lot of people with some wheel damage that's gonna get in issues tonight. So I think that could change things up on where people finish tonight, because it's just one little lapse, man, and you're hitting that wall. So they're going to have to be on.
Yeah, and potential strategy as well. Fuel has been a topic of discussion all season long as well, and that's another factor that may play in. I mean, especially too.
I don't think in cups it's been an issue because we've been doing 50% length, 50% fuel across the board. I think that was Xfinity, but I don't.
Yeah.
I mean,
like
we've had a race or two in cup that has been borderline.
Okay, yeah, because I have no idea
sure.
what the laps are going to be because we just put 50% and that's it.
I would say at Dover, where there were issues at the beginning of the race, at least in that first run where you guys had to save, like, what was it, 5 laps, 6 laps?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So other than that, though, I think through stage 2, you guys were fine. And then the third stage was pretty straightforward as well. There was a little bit of saving going on, but overall not bad.
Probably be about the same then. What are stages? I don't even know the laps.
I just had it pulled up to look at it for myself, and the brain rot of a 26-year-old, I looked at it and I already forgot.
37 and 75 of the stages tonight, 150 laps total.
All
Let's
right.
see. What did you say?
37, 75, and 150 is the full.
Let me see. Where are we at?
Darlington.
There we go. 37 and 75. That
I don't know what we're gonna
That-
get on 50% fuel.
almost lines up with what we did. I mean, we had the same amount of laps and the stages were different, so that's good to know. 10-4.
Yep. Should be something. What it is,
Oh,
I
it'll
don't
be
know.
something.
It will be. It will be.
It could be a whole lot of nothing.
Well, yeah. At least I have a story to tell.
In the broadcast booth, 20 laps into the race.
20.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Dang,
gonna be in there waiting on you then, Mike.
I was about to say, man, I'm going to get that many in?
Oh, you said you ran 20 laps, so I figured you'd go for 20 laps.
Yeah, I was by myself.
Oh, well, you said you were going to be by yourself anyway.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean,
And-
20
and I
laps by
did-
yourself
hey.
is like 5 with other cars on track.
And I didn't say those 20 laps were consecutive.
That's fair. You didn't say that.
It could
We
be
didn't have
15
all the
It
information.
could have been 15 in practice, 2 in qualifying, and 3 in a race. So there's your 20 laps total.
All right.
But I'll catch you in
I
there
like-
before long, I promise.
I like we're setting the bar low. I appreciate that.
If you set it low, you're only up from there.
Yeah, right. Only positive things can happen past
Yeah.
that. Unless you wreck out
Maybe
the
he's
first
hustling
lap.
us.
Unless your name is William Kern.
Dang.
Uh,
I could see myself slow rolling this evening, just sitting here screaming, I'm going fast.
no, we'll be
All
back
right.
there. It'll be a good time. Hopefully, it'll be a good watch and a broadcast for Matthew up there. So,
Yep. Said keep a seat warm for me, man. I'm sure I'll be there soon, buddy.
It's right here next to me, right beside Squirtle.
yeah, I'll just make room for a couple more, I'm sure.
I mean, I can set one over here too, but I don't think you want to sit there.
He'll sit on my lap.
That's where he
Yeah,
aims all
I'll
his
do that.
farts.
See?
That's where never mind. We're not going to get into that.
All right.
Alrighty.
Well, I guess we'll catch y'all out there.
Yep. Let's see what we got. Is the room? It should be opening. So you
About
got
5
a minute.
minutes. You got that couple minute delay. So
Yep.
thanks for tuning in. This has been everybody and nobody all at the same time. Darlington, throwback week. 5 minutes. Be there. Be square. Be a circle or a triangle if you want to. It's 2025. Who knows?
Or an egg.
Or an egg.
It is egg shape.
Or an Apache helicopter. I mean, whatever you want to identify as.
Whatever you want to be.
You know, sometimes you're going straight and you hook a hard right. I feel that's where the rest of the show has gone.
Ask William Kern about that.
I don't even know what's happening right now.
Sometimes you make it down pit road at the speed limit. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you wreck in front of the whole field. Sometimes you don't.
Ask William
You
Kern
know?
about the first one of those, I guess.
I mean, sometimes you're the windshield. Sometimes you're the bug. The list goes on and on. We'll see you fudging later in about 10, 15 minutes when we are all fighting for our lives at the tricky oval. I thought I was going to say tricky triangle, but I didn't. I fooled you. And we'll see